you are looking at here in this screen right here, is documents that relate to Giovanni, Craig and Salvo, or Jonathan Craig, or Johnny, or Gio, or whatever he calls himself, from country town Adelaide is where he's actually from. I barely knew him when I let him come and stay at my place, and he moved in. That was back, I met him the first time in August 2008. He'd barely lived in Sydney 11 years. From, what I would say convict, Scottish heritage mother, his mother's name's Dawn Carpenter. And he committed fraud. Giovanni, Gio, committed fraud, but not just fraud. There's a fake document that he made for himself, and he put my signature on that document. That is my signature. That's my signature, and that means that is forgery and fraud. This is why I was lied about since 2015. So he's been making up stories that I was depressed and suicidal. I have never, ever been suicidal in my life. I have never, ever had any issues with depression. I have never, ever threatened suicide. I have never, ever attempted suicide. And there's a good, let me try and find a date here, because there's actually a really good one which George Jacobs was aware about. So George Jacobs was involved in my workers' comp. Yes, I was mugged and robbed on my way home from work. That was November 30th, 2007. But like I kept telling people, what's that got to do with Gio? What would he know? That has to do with me. And if anybody needs information, so if medical, legal, or doctors or solicitors need information relating to that, they can get it from me. Giovanni wasn't with me then. That was John. John was the one with me back then. And I kept saying this for years, but no one listened to me because they confused John and Gio. It's like I never met Giovanni, Gio, before August 2008. So when I met Gio in August 2008, he was living in a share house in Kensington. He had no money, no assets, no belongings, struggling in huge amounts of debt. He had a room with a mattress, a TV and an Xbox. That's all he had. He told me he was an unemployed waiter. He couldn't work because of an issue with his relationship. He told me it was what his ex-boyfriend, Mark Gilchrist, had did to him, and he was having a breakdown because of Mark Gilchrist. You have no idea what I have had to live with Mark Gilchrist. What he put me through is what he told me. And it's the same thing he started telling people about me. The exact same thing. I soon found out in 2009 from a person who knew Mark Gilchrist, which is Jane Harrison, who Giovanni told me she's an ice addict. So I don't care. Nothing to do with me. I don't know these people. And she told me that it was the other way around. Gio moved into Mark Gilchrist's place and started alienating his friends. Like Jane said, she come around and Gio would come in, storm through the place, push furniture around, slam the door, lock himself in the bedroom, and do things like this. That's what Jane Harrison said. I brought this up to Gio, and Gio said, oh, she's an ice addict. Anyway, I think there was truth in that because that's what Giovanni did to me. When I met Giovanni, I had just sold my house, my investment property, 16 Scott Road. Just in one bank account alone, I had over 140,000. I had several savings accounts that I never needed to touch, ever. Because, yes, I was off work. However, I was on part salary payment. Now, I owned everything outright and I haven't really never made any large purchases since I was mugged. So I owned all of my assets, belongings, sports car, everything outright, my clothing that I continuously wear right through my 30s. So from 2007 right through to 2018. I already have my shoe collection, my jewelry, my assets, everything. Okay, and large savings accounts. Giovanni had nothing and was looking at moving back to Adelaide. He came and stayed over at my place. All right. He stayed over and then he stayed because he had nowhere to live. That's what happened. Then I find out, and the first time I really find out was in March 2013. So in 2009, actually, let's go back to 2008 when I meet Giovanni. I've applied to go back to TAFE College. So back in the 90s, I studied at TAFE College design and art, fine arts and design fundamentals. So after I was mugged after work, I thought, okay, well, recovery for physical health injuries, because there's no trauma, it's physical health injuries. So recovering from those physical health injuries, I'll go back to my TAFE College studies in design then. And I did. So this is, leading up. So I'm still with John, and I apply for TAFE at Emmore Design Centre. Look at courses that are available. So this is all around August. I'm looking at courses that are available for when they do the open day at TAFE at the end of the year in 2008. I'm there looking at courses available. I apply, I get into a course, which is a Certificate 4 in Design, Events, Illustration, and I'm starting in 2009. Okay, so I was busy living my life. So when I first started dating Giovanni and he was a stranger who just moved in with me, I'm off living my life, going back to my studies in design. And I did, with no trouble at all. None. He wasn't a carer, but I didn't know that he was defrauding people and my medical health organizations and basically telling people bullshit lies, because I was actually, during this period of time in 2009, Giovanni's not working or doing anything. He's sitting in my apartment all day. Like I said, when all this came out, I'm turning around to people saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I've barely seen Giovanni from 2009 to 2012. Because I was studying at Emmore Design Centre. Then I was studying at Cocoa Republic, that's affiliated with Emmore Design Centre TAFE College. So that's in Emmore, then in Alexandria. And if I wasn't in those two places, from 2009 under 2012, I was at St. Peter's working for Steve Hatchett and Mitri at Chili Pip. I've barely seen Giovanni during that period of time at all. But no one believed me. The same as when I said to George Jacobs, when I came back, So in 2011, I started my application for the green card, going through the process, and I went to America in March 2013. I come back and George Jacobs said he raised alarms with the crisis group, was worried. I haven't been leaving the apartment. Apparently I was depressed and suicidal, and he was so distraught because Giovanni was in here crying his eyes out. You have no idea what I've got to put up with, Justin. He needed March off work to look after me. And George Jacobs was very concerned because I'm at home all day in March 2013, not leaving the apartment. So he raised red flags to the crisis group and acute care centre and all this stuff, which is breaking confidentiality laws and privacy laws and so forth. He didn't get the information from me. He got it from Geo. George Jacobs got all his information from Geo and none of it from me. So that would really warrant my workers' compensation matter to be reopened, because there's fraudulent activities involved that involves George Jacobs. George Jacobs committed fraud. George Jacobs was told by me when I got back from overseas, that's not true. I wasn't in the country. He didn't believe me. George Jacobs then put down, he believes he wasn't here, but George Jacobs was more inclined to believe Giovanni because Giovanni must have told the truth. Bullshit. I wasn't in the country. Giovanni took March 2013 off work so he could be off partying and turn my apartment into a sex drug fest while I was away for that month. That's what he did. But he lied about me to do it. The same as he's lied about me in several occasions since 2015. And I even told my mother, when my mother got lies from him, I told Amanda, I told my mother's sister, I've told everybody, that's not true. This is what's going on, that's not true. So this was to disrupt my life so somebody else could benefit from my life being disrupted. Well, my life's been destroyed. He involved mental health organisations into it for his own committed of fraud, to get away with fraud. Mental health in Australia just handed somebody for 9 years, letting them get away with fraud and forgery. And if you don't believe me, well, that is my signature. That is my signature on a fake document that Giovanni did for himself. And then he turned around and said to people, so he not blackmailed, he bullied me. So when I found this information out first, so put 2013 aside, then in early 2015, I find a document with my signature on it. I said, I didn't sign that document. And he was told, he goes, oh, I signed your signature from here and there. If I can't get in touch with you to sign your signature on documents, it's like, what? And I said, can you not? He really felt so entitled that it's okay to sign my signature. And he did. It's like, are you kidding me? So where has my signature been signed over the years? What have I been signed up to? And he did. Like, what the hell have I been subjected to? How much bullshit lies? This is the truth. This is the absolute truth. And so as soon as he gets confronted by me in early 2015, suddenly Giovanni's on the phone to my mother, telling my mother bullshit stories, saying, oh, I need you to pay rent. Justin's got no money. He's gone for all his money. I was like, isn't that convenient? And now that's not true, the statements Giovanni made. However, it was convenient that those statements were made straight after he found out that I knew he signed my signature. He was caught out. So the lies started. So I'm talking about the lies starting before October 2015. And he did. And this is where he's involved groups, organizations. He involved Matt O'Rourke from the Reach Out organization into it. He involved Danielle from ACON. He involved Bobby Goldsmith. He's involved the crisis group. He's involved everybody into the fact that here it is. And then he turned around to my mother and said, oh, I've only signed Justin's workers' compensation forms, otherwise he wouldn't get paid. So then my mother's against me. She goes, oh, Justin, Giovanni was trying to help you, and then you're attacking him. I'm like, that's a lie. Because each month I go to Dr. Vutos. Because otherwise then Dr. Vutos is committing fraud. I have to be there at the appointment and I sign my workers' compensation form in front of the doctor. I'm always signing it there. The doctor signs it, I sign it. Giovanni says, I'll take that and fax it through from work for you. But what I found out is he then goes and gets another one. He says he's lost that one. Can you print me a new one to Dr. Vutos? And then I find out he adds things into it that I'm unaware of. So that's the truth. That's the truth. This is what was going on. So I'm going to my doctors and saying, so why are you off work? Oh, because it's part salary payment because I was mugged after work. This is the return to work process. Okay, simple. It's very simple. Doctor signs it, I sign it. Then behind my back, oh, Giovanni calls the doctor. I'm his carer, I've lost that form. Can you give me a new one? Just send it through or fax it through. And then he asked the doctor to add, which he did. Like there's things where they've added for Giovanni to be a carer and all this other bullshit. Then Giovanni forges my signature, which he's done on those. But that was only a couple. But these aren't anything to do with me. These are letters that he's made for himself to say that he was a carer or to say that he was looking after Justin. And these are bullshit letters that he's done. Okay? This is why I've gone through hell in the last 9 years. Mary and my house, everyone, all my family got involved. This is where I won't have anything to do with them. You've got to be kidding me, right? I mean, I'm telling the truth for 9 years and I'm getting lied about for 9 years. And there should be another one where I've actually turned around. Yeah, here's text messages. So which proof, and I've even shown this to police. Anything yet? Because I've turned around here and said, oh, look, that's not my signature. As in, I didn't sign that. How do they have it on file? So there's a text message from Giovanni in 2017, which is why 2017 happened. I got lied about further. Giovanni sends me this, and I'm like, that's not my, as in, I didn't sign that. How do they have my signature on file, is what I've said. Then he turns around and says, no, it's an electronic one I've used for your workers' compensation. I'm like, what? And I even put it down, it's identity fraud. You can see this. So I am telling the truth. And I have been lied about and lied about and lied about. And do you know what organization has been the biggest organization to cover up fraud and forgery? Mental health. Mental health groups and organizations. Giovanni's not a carer. I've never needed caring for. And all these bullshit stories that went on for years were not true. I only found out really just how bad it was in 2015. There's no truth in things that were said. And again, I'll turn around to everybody and say, you didn't hear it from me. So do you know what I've got since 2015? I was monitored and surveillanced from organizations, which I was. I have been literally put into situations where organizations have continuously monitored me because of the information that they've received from even medical teams that they were given from Giovanni over the years that is false and not true. And this was easy done because instead of having a decent family member, which I do not, my decent family members are dead. Okay. My mother looked at this instead of doing the right thing and telling the truth. She thought, how can she benefit for this for herself? That's the truth. My mother looked at it and was like, oh, well, I've turned to my mother and told her all this. Now, I'm not close to my mother. Excuse me, I've still got the flu. There we go. I'm still getting over a chest infection and flu. Okay. Back in May 2016, I had pneumonia. I was trying to recover from pneumonia. So I'm at home recovering from pneumonia. And that's what Giovanni used to organizations to say, see, he's not leaving the house. Of course not. I've got pneumonia. I'm trying to recover from pneumonia. So he manipulated, but then my mother manipulated. All these people have been manipulated. And yes, I am the only one telling the truth. And here is plenty of documents that back up. As you can see in the screen behind this voiceover, what I'm saying is the truth. Now, there was no Justin needs caring for. There was none of this bullshit. There was Justin got mugged after work and he was going through return to work process and he was fine. He recovered from the injuries and what he didn't recover from, he maintained. That can be proven right through photos and videos of Justin. He was going out by himself all the time. He went back to studies, he's made connections, and then he got really badly sick with immune issues and chronic illness. So he needed time to rest and recover from chronic illness. That's all it was. It is truly something so simple that groups and organizations and mental health have no right to be part of. But they made themselves part of this. They made themselves part of this because there's a scammer who started scamming from the moment he met me and knew how much money I had in the bank, and I will prove that as well. I will prove that because I have one of my bank statements that show 140,000 in it for the moment when I met Giovanni. And as you can see, sorry, I just want to make a note here. 2015, he was told to stop signing my signature. As you can see again, in 2017, he was told to stop. This is taken in May 2019, and he's still forging my signature because the guy got away with it. Mental health let him get away. Our organizations have let him get away with it and have covered it up. And here it is. So he kept going. He kept going. 4 years after I found out, 4 years later, as you can see by this document, it's dated the 5th of May, 2019. That's my signature. So in 2015, he was caught out for signing my signature, and I said, don't sign my signature. In 2017, as you can see, he was caught out again for signing my signature. So 2 years after the initial time, and he was told, don't sign my signature. But he went ahead and kept doing it to 2019 until he was caught out by his work for signing my signature. And not just signing my signature, this is a fake document that has been damaging to my credibility. This is all damaging to me, which is why I'm not getting believed or listened to, which caused reactions from me because the unwanted actions towards me from people, even where I live, the neighborhood, and so forth. This has gone on for a very long time for one person and my own family, which I would never have in my life again after the last 9 years. And that's good reason. That's reason enough when I am telling the truth. Here you are. This is documents after, there we go. February, here we go, 18th of February, 2013. So Giovanni, this one's not signed. However, he did get a letter off George Jacobs, so he already prepared one. So he prepared, he knew because he knew I was going for the green card process. He knew in 2012, because in June 2012, I was looking at going to the US to make an entry after I submitted my application for the green card, and I ended up putting it off to March 2013. So he knew in advance. He knew well in advance that in March 2013, I would be in America. So he's already drawn up the 18th of February 2013, a fake document from George Jacobs to give him time off work. This letter is to verify that Giovanni Consalvo has requested to, there you go, was required to act in capacity of a carer for Justin Fleming over the following period. It's fraud. This is fraud. This is fraud. This is forgery. Giovanni should be serving jail for it. The organizations that have jumped on this, even my own neighbor where I currently live, seems to be part of this, which is Heidi Jones. This has gone on for 9 years. And I've stood up since 2015 and said, these are lies. This is bullshit. None of this, what you people have been told, is true. Where'd you get the information from? It's not true. I barely saw Giovanni. He's not my carer. He has never been a carer. I was never around. I don't need caring for. I don't need someone doing things for me. Here is a fake document that Giovanni wrote himself. George Jacobs' letterhead. There it is. It was investigated. But he ended up going to George Jacobs, and George Jacobs actually gave him one himself in 2013 that said he was a carer. George Jacobs needs to be up on criminal charges in relation to this, and my workers' comp needs to be reopened. I have been screaming about this since 2015, and people then put it down to, what was it? Hang on. There was all sorts of things I was lied about with mental health because I told the truth and said, hang on a minute, this isn't true. Oh, Giovanni told people I had a breakdown. I was having a psychotic breakdown. It's not true. He's lying about everybody. That's what Giovanni and other people said. I'm like, no, I'm not. Here's the proof right here. Here is a fake letter from a doctor that says, to whom it may concern, this letter serves to verify that Giovanni Consalvo was required to act in capacity of carer for Justin Fleming over the following period, Thursday the 13th of February 2014 to Tuesday the 19th of February 2014. But this one's dated, so he must have got that wrong. So these are ones that, oh, wow, he's even prepared this back in 2013 for these dates in 2014. This is fake. And isn't it funny? So I just saw this and thought, hang on a minute. There. He's been committing fraud. He has been committing forgery. He's been doing this since the day I met him, and then he's turned around and he's lied to people. He's used people. He's used organizations. He's used my friends. He's used my family. And they were all happy for that to have happened because they sat back when I'm there going, no, this isn't true. None of this is true. I'm telling you the truth. And they're like, oh, psychotic breakdown. Justin's lying about everybody. But no, I'm not. And Giovanni, I told Giovanni's work in 2016. I said, Giovanni's been forging my signature. I told his boss. I got almost pretty much locked up for it because Giovanni said he's having a psychotic breakdown. I'm his carer. But then Giovanni ended up getting found out by his employer and sacked in 2019 over what I told them in 2016. So what I told Giovanni's employer in 2016 was true. He forged my signature. He's faked documents. They found out that what I said was true in 2019, but do I get anything? Do I get my credibility restored that I was telling the truth? Does mental health get taken to court over this? Because mental health was involved so Giovanni could cover up the fact of this. Are they up on criminal charges? Are these organizations up on criminal charges? Or are they still getting involved to date? They're still involved to date. Nothing's gone moving forward legally. It's criminal. George Jacobs needs to face criminal action. My workers' comp needs to be reopened because the information didn't come from me. It's come from this scam behind my back. And here is the clearer documents. This is what I was sent. Here we are right here. Here's the documents. There you have it. Now, this is what I messaged Giovanni's employer in 2016 to say he's been forging my signature. That's my signature. That's my signature. That's my signature. There it is. I've been getting lied about for a long time, and mental health and other certain groups and organizations have allowed this to go on. They were actually a direct part of helping somebody cover up from fraud and forgery, is what these organizations were. Social groups were. Support groups were. So social workers and support workers were direct involvement to help somebody cover up from fraud and forgery. Abigail Ann Francis Noyce is somebody that has helped Giovanni cover up from fraud and forgery? Crisis Group did. The Reach Out organisation did. Matt O'Rourke did. Danielle Curran did. Eva Levy from IBAC, St. Vincent's did. Or help him cover up. George Jacobs did. Marianne Mahowski did. Whether she wants to hear it or not, she was part of this. Stephanie DeSalis, Giovanni messaged her. Don't believe me, I'll show you. Or before I go to actually showing you the text messages he was sending people, I just want to make it clear. This is a bank statement of mine from 2008 where I had over 140,000. Over 140,000 in the bank, as you can see there. Why? Because I had investment property that I sold. I had fixed term deposits, and I had a lot of savings. When I met Giovanni. And that's his handwriting. So he was going through my bank statements and trying to work out stuff to do with my bank statements, which has nothing to do with him. As you can see, that's his handwriting. It's like, what were you doing looking at my bank statements and trying to work things out? I sold my place in 16 Scott Road. I also had other fixed term deposits. This is nothing to do with you. But he then turned around in the last 9 years and said, oh, but I never knew how much money Justin had in the bank. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Because that's your handwriting. You can't say you wrote on that bank statement without looking at what the balance was. That's my handwriting here. But that is Giovanni's handwriting over here. Now, I'm not going to stand for these organizations that are still involved in my life or other people and organizations. I worked hard to have what I had. I worked at Star Casino, and I was on a $47,730 a year salary package 20 years ago. So at the time of being mugged in November 30th, 2007, that was my salary package 20 years ago. So I was on good money with low overheads because my rent was only $300 a week. And I had my investment property tenanted the entire time. The income I got from the investment property covered all the costs of the investment property. So it was sitting there making me money. When I sold it, I almost owned it outright. There wasn't much to pay on the mortgage. Let me show you something else. This is a photo taken of Giovanni's phone, the HTC phone, whatever he had, his work phone, to Stephanie DeSalis. Stephanie DeSalis is somebody that in 2006 was my known biggest enemy. So he involved this sort of criminal behavior. This is what he said. That's Stephanie DeSalis' message, but you said 8 weeks. It's happened so fast. Does Justin know you're leaving? This is all people that he's dragged into my life. This is the message from Stephanie DeSalis to Giovanni. Don't worry, I have a plan. Thanks, you've made my day. I'm glad, happy to help. Giovanni lied to people. Giovanni, this is in March 2017, involving people in March 2017 in my life because he was done. He knew that I knew he signed my signature again. He was already told 2 years before about signing my signature. And Marianne Mahowski. There we go. Giovanni. But then Marianne Mahowski. Yeah, my mother's younger sister. What a piece of shit. And I can go right back to before even 2002. Okay? The whole matter's criminal. I haven't done anything wrong, but a lot of people have done a lot of wrong behind my back. So many messages sent to so many people that Giovanni was doing to everybody. This is all Giovanni's phone. Even to Brett Aikenhead. See, Giovanni smacked Brett Aikenhead in the face. Now, Brett Aikenhead's nothing to me. He's the guy I brought my dog from and had a brief sexual encounter. Brett Aikenhead says to Giovanni, you're lucky I don't have you up for assault. But, you know, it's funny that both these people were thick as thieves when they had a common enemy, which was me. They were both good friends to each other. Giovanni says, come back up here and I will show you what assault is, gutless fuck. This is Giovanni harassing Brett Aikenhead, telling him he's going to smack him. This has all gone on. He couldn't trust you because you are so fucked in the head and delusional, blah, blah. This is from Giovanni to Brett. You see, this is all the trouble. Yeah. Like I said to police and all these groups and organisations, don't get involved. I'm getting lied about. Mind your own business and butt out. You're interfering in my life, and it's a definite interference that is causing and costing me damages in 2 countries since 2015. And now you don't want to pay for the damages that you are causing, but you're breaking the law. You've broken privacy laws, confidentiality laws, prying laws. You've monitored me, and I've got documents that prove that. Where on the document it says they walked around Justin's building to try and cite him, trying to check on me, all this bullshit because of these lies about me. It's a criminal matter. There is no groups, no organisations, no support workers, no social workers, no mental health, no crisis group, no acute care, no reach out organisation, no Bobby Goldsmith, no ACON, nothing except a criminal matter that needs to be dealt with as a criminal matter. These organisations do not have any right to have ever been involved, but they were since I was lied about in 2015. What they've done, a magistrate should be taking all these organisations and say, right, you've just cost Justin how much damages over 9 years? You pay for it, and these organisations should be all defunded from the government. This continued into the US, and I've held a green card to the US since 2014. This is what has had people approach me with wrong information. So people have been given information about me that's been false. They've approached me because of that false information and acted weirdly towards me that's caused reactions towards me. So I've reacted to actions towards me. And it's all here. And yes, I have put in several Crime Stoppers reports and taken this to police, where police response was, it's a civil matter, you need a solicitor. So police have continuously told me, we can't do anything because it's a civil matter, you need a solicitor to sue. I'm like, no, it is a criminal matter, not a civil matter. This is criminal, you need to press charges. They keep saying it's a civil matter, you need a solicitor to go after these people and the organisations. And that's almost impossible to do. I've tried. And I keep going back to police and saying, it's a criminal matter, you need to press criminal charges for fraud and forgery against certain people, groups and organisations, including mental health. Because this is why I was lied about. This is why this spread of false information from unreliable sources, including everybody. And even Giovanni sat back and goes, it wasn't me. It's like, but you are part of it. Whether you started this and then this caused a chain reaction to other people who then jumped on it as well. You did. You were contacting family. You were contacting people dragging into my life. You were contacting organisations and starting this. And you did. You started this for 9 years and you damaged my life a lot in 2 countries. Miriam Mahowski is the biggest troublemaker of the family that we have all had to put up with to keep my Nan happy. Believe me, when Nan is dead, and she's been dead since 2018, I don't want anything to do with Miriam Mahowski. There's no way. She's always been a troublemaker. Miriam Mahowski was asked. I turned to her and said, I'm getting lied about. Can you help? I need information verified and false information that's damaging to my character and credibility corrected. Can you help? She goes, no. Of course not, because you're part of this. Bitchy behaviour. And this is where it makes it so easy for other people to do it towards me. They see my family do it. They see people like Miriam Mahowski continuously do it. So they do it. Then we can do it. And I've said this to my family before. You say so much bullshit to people. This is where you're such a narcissist, control freak, toxic family, because what you say to people, they go back and go, oh, well, Justin's family thinks that about him. You should have heard what Justin's auntie said about him. You should have heard what Justin's mother said about him. So then they do the same back to me. Then people say, well, why did this happen to you? Easy, look at my family. My family bitches about me nonstop, which is why I've never had anything to do with them. The only family members I've ever liked are dead. The only ones I've ever got along with are dead. That's why this bitching goes on. And all these people do is cause trouble to anybody that I meet in my life, whether it's a partner, a friendship, a relationship, a sex partner, a long-term partner. All they do in my family is cause trouble and doubt and arguments and all this trouble. So there's a good reason why I don't want them in my life and won't have them back into my life. Oh, there's Giovanni having one of his episodes. That's in my place when he came over to stay. He was having one of his depressive episodes, his little bipolar mental health episodes that he was having. Yeah, other way around. Giovanni has issues. As you can see, this is the text message on Giovanni's phone that was to and from Giovanni Consalvo, Gio, to Brett Aikenhead. And again. And this is what I came home from studying and working to once, where Giovanni was wiped out of his head. Like I said to people, I caught him using ice and I've never heard of it before him. And that was after he just came and stayed in my place in Surrey Hills and moved in, and I'm off studying, I'm off working, and well, he was doing behaviour in my place when I wasn't there. Like I said, I barely saw him from 2009 to 2012. So apparently he's always been this long-term user. And he was told by me, that's it, that you don't bring this stuff into my place. So this is where I've been getting lied about a lot over the years. It's all to cover up something else, and it's so easy to have been done towards me because look at my family, how they treat me. This was so simple for someone to come along and do this. And I haven't been believed, but there's so many, I'm getting gaslit or gaslighting, whatever you want to call it. It's like, well, there's a document. There's a document proof. How much more documented proof do you need? I back everything I say up with a document and I'm still getting lied about.